Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Standard H podcast, a casual conversation about the lives of entrepreneurs and those growing companies. This podcast has been a wonderful supplement to my apparel brand, Standard H, which serves up elevated casual automotive and travel-inspired apparel and accessories to you discerning car and watch lovers. It's been a blast recording these episodes, and if you like what you hear, please visit standard-h.com and sign up for our email list. Our recently revamped website not only hosts every episode of this show, but also allows you to explore the entire product assortment and our latest travel recommendations. As an email subscriber, you will then receive offers no one else is privy to, and I can promise it'll be well worth your while. Just hit pause real quick and hop over to standard-h.com to sign up. We'll be here waiting for you to hit play when you return. Watch collecting is often described as a journey, and along these roads of exploration, you may encounter independently owned brands you've never heard of creating some of the most incredible timepieces. If you're in search of these brands, look no further than Passion Fine Jewelry, owned by former Standard H podcast guest Tim Jackson. Offering incredible timepieces as well as phenomenal customer service, Passion Fine Jewelry is California's largest independent watch dealer located right here in Solana Beach, just north of San Diego. There you will find Roger Smith, Gronfeld, Kudoke, Habring, Sarpaneva, Roman Gauthier, and many more. If you can't make it to California, visit passionfinejewelry.com for their entire offering online. This episode is also brought to you by Cantonment. Cantonment's flagship product, the kerchief, is a perfect medium between a handkerchief and a bandana. Featuring iconic designs such as a Fender Stratocaster and the dashboard of a Volkswagen GTI, these utilitarian cloths are an item that should be a mainstay in your everyday carry. Tuck one in a back pocket or use one as a neckerchief. Visit them at Cantonment Co., that's CANTONMENT.co, and use the code STANDARDH in all caps, no spaces, for 20% off their entire online shop. Now let's get to the show. VJ Geronimo is the North American CEO of Oris, a watch brand no doubt near and dear to many of you listening. I connected with VJ originally through previous Standard H podcast guest Josh Shanks, only to further hear what a wonderful guy VJ is from Oris collaborator Cole Pennington. Well, the VJ rumors are absolutely true, as you'll hear in this episode. I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation getting to know VJ, who even turned the tables on me towards the end. I knew I liked Oris watches, but as VJ shares insight into their efforts both ecologically as well as ethically, my affection for the brand only grew. We dive fairly deep into the history of Oris as well as VJ's role within the company hosting not one, but 3 CEOs. When you hear all that VJ's accomplished in his career, it only makes sense as to why he is where he is. We also spend a few minutes discussing baseball as well as the Oris Bear, which is fun. It's times like these when I truly feel fortunate to be even a peripheral participant within this wonderful community of watch folks, and I'm sure you'll understand why upon hearing the thoughtful responses from VJ. I'm confident you'll enjoy this one. I'm your host, Wesley Smith, and you're listening to the Standard H podcast. VJ, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show. We're here in Chicago at Wind Up.
Sunday morning.
I barely have a voice.
I'm with you a little bit.
I think there are a few of us that fit this description. This is my first trade show. I take it you've probably done several.
Yeah, we've actually with Wind Up, we've been a sponsor of Wind Up since the beginning. So
awesome.
This is probably between New York and San Francisco, and now we've done so many of them. So, but this is definitely, if you haven't been here before, it's definitely a really nice stepped up presence for them. I think it's really, the venue's really nice.
Chicago specifically.
Chicago, and just the venue and how they're doing things. I think it's really, it's really a destination that people should see,
cool.
Especially people into the watch world.
Nice.
So, yeah.
I was hanging out with Cole Pennington 2 weekends ago.
Great guy.
Bachelor party in San Diego for a mutual friend of ours. His best friend. I'm the third wheel actually I was like the 10th wheel for that thing, but he has nothing but great things to say about you. I think you guys have been to South America together or something.
We weren't in South America, but he went to South America for something that we're working on, so which will be revealed shortly.
Okay, so I have no details.
Yeah,
other than location, which I don't even have because I got the continent borderline wrong for you.
Yeah, he was down there, so it was good. But we're excited about what's coming from that too.
Yeah,
so,
I told him I was going to be sitting down with you, and he's like, "Oh man, I love that guy."
Yeah, I love him too. No, and I think it's with our watch industry and just people.
Sure,
it's so much about the people in it as much as it is about the product, and I think he's one of the good ones.
I think there's nothing that displays exactly what you just said quite like this show.
Yeah,
like having everybody sharing information, talking to each other, the friendliness, the camaraderie, just within the same industry, and then.
Very much.
The customers no less, obviously. So.
Yeah, but it's so nice to do it. So, yeah, I'm sure we have a lot of mutual friends.
Yes, 100%. You sound like you're from the Northeast.
Oh, yes, I am. I grew up in basically suburban New York City. I grew up in Rockland County.
Okay.
So I grew up in Congers, New York, but people don't really know Congers, New York. So I say Rockland County because that's probably what people know. So, and I'm in Connecticut now. So I live in Connecticut.
Awesome. So now, do you commute into the city or you work from home?
I do not. So our North American headquarters for Oris is in Norwalk, Connecticut. So I commute down there. So about a 25, 30-minute commute in the mornings from where I am.
Not too shabby.
It's good.
Could be a lot worse, I'm sure.
Definitely.
So what was childhood like in New York where you're from? Like, what did your folks do?
So my folks they grew up in, my family grew up in the Bronx. So they actually grew up, my mom she was actually the tax receiver for our town.
Okay.
So she was like an elected official in town. My dad worked for a financing company, and he would basically go out and, like, if you had an air conditioner, like in those days, like when you had mom and pop sort of appliance stores and things like that, most times they would not necessarily put money out for their inventory, but they would finance it. So his company would basically help them finance it, and then he'd go out and kind of understood what was sold and work with the financing of the people. So he traveled a lot around, not overnight travel, but day trips. So
sure.
As a kid, I went with him to work and saw different things, saw different parts of the city and around. So it was pretty cool.
Oh, that is cool.
Yeah.
What was high school like for you?
High school, I went to St. Joe's Regional High School in Montvale, New Jersey. So Catholic, all boys Catholic school.
Interesting.
Much like Cole Pennington, actually.
Okay.
So yeah, that was good. And my friends from high school are probably my closest friends to this day.
Oh,
so,
amazing. Yeah. Where'd you end up at university?
So undergrad, I went to Lehigh University in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Yeah. So and then I went to NYU for grad school. So
finance,
marketing.
Okay.
Accounting undergrad, marketing MBA. So,
nice.
Yeah.
Cool. So what was kind of the first gig out of MBA school?
So I was I was working for Movado Group at the time. So I went to school actually part-time at night. So I would basically work all day, commute into the city, classes, and then come back. So my first gig, I was basically working at Movado Group. I was in the early days of kind of marketing and internet stuff. So I was in charge of the website and doing things like that, or working on that project in the marketing department. I had a lot of different roles there because I just in my background. And then my last job there, I was like brand operations and brand controller was my position there.
Okay, cool. So, and those were, I'm assuming, the days of the all black Movado watch with the diamond at 12.
The museum dial.
The museum. Yeah,
the museum dial. And I wasn't on the sales side of that business. I was in the corporate office side of it. So did a lot. But yeah, the museum dial. And and then they also Concord and Esquire at the time had come out, and Coach had just come on. So there were a bunch of different brands there at that moment. But the company was growing.
Cool.
When I first started in '93, the company went public. So that was like the first year. So it was called the North American Watch Company, and then it became public organization.
I see.
After that.
So what got you into watches, at least from like the Movado Group standpoint?
Yeah, so it's funny. I wasn't a watch guy, so to say. I wouldn't have said I was. My dad had watches growing up. So you got familiar with them that way.
Yeah.
Uncles, things like that. But someone I worked with at my first job out of school, I worked for a company called Medco.
Okay.
They were a prescription mail order pharmacy company. So I worked there for a little bit. And then someone I worked with went to work for North American Watch Company and asked me if I'd like to go work there. And I was like, okay. I liked, the product. I was like, oh, it's cool.
Yeah.
So that's how I got into the watch industry.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, very much.
So tell me a little bit about like how you left the Movado Group and kind of where you went from there. I mean, I'm assuming, was there anywhere between there and Oris?
So I worked after Movado Group, I had positioned myself I had all the experience, had a lot of experience, finance, I had experience in technology, I had experience in marketing.
Sure.
But I didn't have any sales experience. So I actually went to work. Some people I knew from Movado were at Swiss Army, Victorinox.
Oh, cool.
Army.
Yeah.
So I actually took a sales territory for them. So I was a New England territory rep for a bit of time, for about 3 years or so.
What year was that?
That was like 2002 to 2005.
Okay, because the officer's ratchet bezel was my high school graduation gift.
Really? The 24205.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
He knows the numbers. That's amazing.
Yeah, that was a good place to work. I enjoyed being there, and the products were good, the company was good.
Sure.
That was kind of put me on the road a little bit, got to know retailers and accounts and things like that, especially New England. So that was there.
Man, that watch holds up too.
Yeah, definitely.
Just design and size. I think it's a 40 millimeter.
Most definitely. I feel like you're right.
38 to 40, somewhere in
there
neighborhood.
And the officer, and then like the original, that with the red bezel.
Yeah,
definitely iconic pieces.
Totally.
The Recon.
So what is your title now? It's American CEO, U.S. CEO?
CEO of North America for Oris. So we handle the U.S., Canada, and the Caribbean falls under our purview in our office.
Cool.
So it's great. And, after Swiss Army, I went to work for a company called the LGI Network. So again, people I worked with prior, a guy named Fred Levin started the LGI Network, which basically went out and collected market research information, basically sales data from retailers in the watch world, to report on it, to consolidate it, and then report out performance data, things like that. So if you know what IRI does, or NPD, so when you go to the supermarket and you basically scan your groceries, there's companies that buy that data to understand what's
being bought with what.
What's being bought, what's being sold, that sort of thing. So that's what LGI did, because there wasn't such a company. So it was a startup company, and that's what we did in the watch industry.
Very cool. So that's interesting. So like, what were some like early statistics or data that were fascinating to you?
So like, we used to report on by door performance, how much the average door would do with certain brands, things like that.
Right.
And then also, on the confidential retailer side, because we collected data from retailers, you could see how much data we would report to retailers, like basically how they're doing versus the average door.
Sure.
So basically, how important are you to the brand?
Yeah, for
based
comps
on,
and stuff.
based on the information that was there. So that was interesting. So my role, I was basically in charge of recruiting retailers to the program. So met a lot of people that way, a lot of national people. So that was a good experience for me too.
It's probably, good that you worked in sales as well, because you kind of understood both sides of that coin.
Exactly.
Do you miss sales at all?
I mean, I certainly do it now too,
Okay.
To an extent.
How so?
Just managing the sales team and doing that. We're a small company at Oris, so we're like 12 people in the U.S.
No way.
So we're not that big.
Oh, wow.
So very, very close to it and very much part of things that go on. So still part of that. But then obviously the other side, the marketing side of things and administration side of things and all that. So, but it's good. So I enjoy coming back into something that was, LGI was a service. So it was more like it was a long process. It was,
right.
some time, whereas, watches are certainly very tangible and very, very much there. So
far more direct now, a little less third party vibe.
Very much.
Got it. Cool.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So, I mean, I know Oris has co-CEOs as well, right? Like over the pond.
Right. So in Switzerland, Rolf Studer, who is our co-CEO, and then Claudine, she's our co-CEO as well. So Rolf handles basically all of the sales, marketing, product side of it, and then Claudine does all of the back office, finance administration, things like that. So
very cool.
That's how it's broken up. Yeah. And
so what is that like for you then to then know that they're there, even though you have CEO as a part of your title as well?
Yeah. It's a title. It doesn't bother anybody at all. You know what I mean? We're all kind of on the same thing. It's just a formality, I guess, of geography and what we're doing. I mean, Rolf is great. If you've ever met Rolf Studer, and Claudine's great too. I mean, Rolf is, has been out a lot in the market. People know him, and I couldn't say enough about the organization and the people that we work for, a Swiss parent company, and kind of the philosophy that they have definitely comes down to our company too. Everyone is hands-on, everyone works hard, plays hard. Like that's our thing. And really just,
that's standard H, baby.
Yeah. But try not to, we don't take ourselves too seriously. We really just try to do the right thing and be genuine in our approach to things and how we go about things. So I think that's been strong.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you kind of as far as like the brand is concerned, for most people listening to this know what Oris is.
Right.
There might be a handful or maybe two people that don't really know the history. Right. You guys, I know you were founded in 1904.
1904, so 118 years old. We only make mechanical watches, so there's no quartz at all in what we do. We're one of the last, I'd say, independent. We're one of the last independent sort of mainstream manufacturers in Switzerland. Obviously, now with the advent of micro brands and things like that, but we're one of the true independent brands in Switzerland that's been around a long time.
So are your movements in-house?
We have some in-house movements that we make. We also use some Sellita movements as well.
Okay.
So,
robust stuff.
If you know much about the industry and about that, we were sort of one of the first partners of Sellita early on. So we used Sellita movements for a long time in our product. In 2014, we came out with our first in-house caliber in about 35 years. And then in 2020, we came out with our first automatic caliber in about 40 years. But between 1904 and 1982, we made about 282 of our own calibers.
Wow.
So we were one of the 10 largest watch companies in Switzerland. In the peak of our production, we made, I think, 1.2 million units a year or something like that. So we were, so not a lot of people know that history of it because, once the quartz crisis came to Switzerland and everyone closed down their manufacturing and bought things from ETA because that was what saved the industry, so to say. Mm-hmm. We definitely participated in that, but before that, we were definitely strong on the manufacturing side. So now we're back into it. So
So how strong is that heritage then for you guys?
It's really strong. I mean, I think it's one of the things that really makes us what we are. First of all, our independence is certainly something that is a spirit that we have. Mm-hmm. It's a philosophy. It's a mindset that we carry, and it's not just financial independence, but also it's just a way of thinking. And we're allowed to do things and do things. We're not beholden to shareholders or sister brands that are in certain, stay in your lane kind of thing. We basically do what we want to do. So that's neat.
Well, I was going to ask you that because if you Google who owns Oris, it'll come up independent, and then there's some blurb that says that it's owned by Swatch Group.
No, so there was a period of time back in the 1970s, from like 1970 to I don't know the exact year, if it's 1970 to 1982, the company was owned by Asawag, which was the predecessor company to Swatch Group. So it was independent for many years. Then in 1970, it got bought, and then when the quartz crisis hit, they started making some quartz watches there. They closed down the manufacturing, and then Dr. Rolf Portman, who was the general manager of Oris at the time, and Ulrich Herzog, who was the marketing manager, did a leverage buyout of the company in 1982, took it back independent, and from that day on, still we only made mechanical watches, which at the time, if you think about the quartz crisis, right?
Yeah.
And the advent of new technology and all this stuff that was sweeping the industry, to go out and say we're only going to make mechanical watches at that point was a pretty bold move at the time. So I think it was something that definitely was something we stayed true to and still stay true to this day.
Wasn't that sort of the hurdle, or at least the approach that Jean-Claude Beaver took as well with Blancpain? Didn't they release like a mechanical watch like early 80s?
I'm not exactly sure of the history of that, but maybe.
Yeah.
But
it's interesting that you guys could have, I guess in theory, been doing the same thing.
Yeah.
With a completely different aesthetic, I would presume.
Yeah. And Ulrich had traveled to Japan and saw like the desire for mechanical watches.
Right.
And that was one of the kind of the catalysts to kind of making that decision.
That's cool.
To come back and do that. And I think it just, in our philosophy as Oris, we were always founded on a industrialized approach to manufacturing. So it was never, we were never the hand-adorned movement. We were never the one-off.
Right.
We were always the basically industrialized approach, bringing a good watch to a lot of people. That was the philosophy. And that still is the philosophy today.
Yeah, so. Abundantly clear for sure. I love the aesthetic. What was the assortment like when you joined, and like what is it like now? Is it similar, different, grown, smaller?
It's a little different. I would say, we have what we consider 4 worlds of products. So there's diving product, aviation product, motorsport product, and then culture or more classic product.
Okay.
I would say in the time that I've been with Oris, diving and aviation have definitely sort of taken over. Sure. Motorsport, while it still exists, it's not a strong part of what we do. If we used to be the sponsor of the F1 Williams team for a long time.
Right.
So, but given our focus on our sustainability and things that we've been doing, we've sort of come away from those type of things. And then, so the watches that were in that category, like the Williams watches and things like that have sort of come out of the line. So,
sure.
A lot of it now is diving and aviation. So within that product line, there's contemporary diving, which is Aquis. There's vintage diving, which is Diver 65, which which was something I would say, if I had to point to a turning point in my time with Oris, I'd say the Diver 65 was definitely something that really put us on the map in terms of just attention, especially among watch enthusiasts. That watch really kind of did a lot for us at that time.
Do you think that was design centered, or do you think it was price centered? Why do you think it took off for you guys like that?
I think it was...
Or both?
It was kind of right at the start, and I actually like to think that watch helped start the vintage trend in the watch that we've seen in the past number of years.
I see.
I would say it was definitely, and it was a price point thing too. I mean, it was a very nice
steal.
Yeah, $1,800. It was a beautiful looking watch. It was something that, a perfect like replica of its 1965. That was for year we made our first dive watch, so that's what it was modeled after.
Sure.
And then after that, we followed with the Carl Bashir limited edition in the next year. So that really also took off and really, gave it even more legs. So
cool.
I'd say, yeah.
Is there anything that you do day to day or part of your job description that may surprise people? Like, do you have any influence on design, for example, or anything like that?
Yeah, I think the way that Oris works, we have obviously a design team in Switzerland, but we certainly, I think one of the things that I get most satisfaction, and I know my group does too, is that if we ask for something or give product feedback or things like that, it gets implemented.
Right.
It gets done. Even, and obviously too, and I'll go a step further with consumers.
Sure.
If there's comments or things that come about, we will actually implement that into into product. So we take product feedback very seriously. We try to kind of, because that's your consumer base. That's
right.
what people want.
Right.
So I think that's one of the things that is good and a little not surprising, but I think we have a reputation for that. But that's certainly something that we do.
Sure. Yeah. No. I think that's really cool because also, again, a benefit of being a small company is because that family atmosphere is like the dinner table. So this becomes the conversation.
Very much. And I think being a small company, to your point, there's a lot of things that you do. There's not 30 people that do something. There's we're all a small team, so there's times when doing different things. There's times when I've shipped watches before. It's not. Yeah. It's just not something that we're not above anything kind of thing.
How do you sort of balance, you personally, how do you sort of balance sales versus production and how much to produce of what? And, what kind of data and metrics are you using? Or is it just, let's grow 4% per year? Is it, I don't need hard data as far as that's concerned.
No, sure.
How do you balance that?
It's, we look at, it's definitely experience over time.
Sure.
With our base. It's looking at products that we have. It's guessing. Forecasting has become, I'm not going to say more challenging, but the way that product is being released now, where
right.
everything is, it used to be, you come to the Basel Fair, you'd release all your product for the year, you get a good sense of how people will order it, you get a sense of, the reaction to it. Now, because everything is sort of not brought out until the time it's going to be launched, and that's spaced out through the year. It's that one, that initial time that you have to guess right about or understand about to do it. But our production is certainly something that we focus upon. We look at something, we go out and solicit markets, and again, me being one of the markets, but we go out and solicit markets, get an understanding of what, how the reaction is, and then order from that perspective.
And you do that for the U.S., obviously, I would presume.
Yes.
But is the conversation within the company a global conversation always, or is it a European conversation versus a U.S. conversation?
No, it's always a pretty global conversation, or
cool.
It's a conglomeration of global needs.
Sure.
I'd have to say we're not a company, which I think one of our strengths is we don't just focus on one market, right? We've always had this diversified approach to product. It wasn't that, at a time when everything was small, people were making product for Asia, and everything was Asian based. Like we're not in that realm. I like to say, I think we're across the board pretty much, even across markets. And then in our forecasting, obviously that takes into account the whole global picture of it.
Are your sales kind of concentrated in any area, particularly globally, as far as the company sales
we're
go?
one of the biggest, obviously the U.S. is one of the biggest markets in the company. And then the Asian markets as well, pretty good, and some of the European markets are very strong as well. Yeah. So yeah, it's I wouldn't say we're atypical to other companies, other watch companies, but it's just a matter of how we focus and what we do.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm obviously a designer myself for my own product, but are you paying attention to color trends? Are you looking at that, or does Oris just kind of do its own thing?
A little bit. I think certainly do that, but I think we do a lot of stuff with the product line is very thought out in terms of, I would say we don't just do things because they're commercially viable and will sell, right? It's more as how does this fit into the product line that we have? Does it make sense to make this watch? Does it make sense within our own purview? And then when you have something that's successful, you want to make something and it's not always the best thing to do. So you got to keep yourselves really focused on the whole product mix and that sort of thing. But yeah, we focus on some things like color and trends. Sometimes we set trends, I think.
Yeah.
Not, and I don't mean that arrogantly.
No.
Like you see some of the things that we do, and we have the ability just to do some crazy things.
Right. Because you're nimble.
Yeah, because we're nimble, and we don't have the structure where we have to stay in a lane of certain product or things like that. So we can go from our, caliber 115 PPX skeleton to a bronze cotton candy watch to,
right.
That's kind of within our purview. So
that might be the answer already to my following question, but I wanted to ask you, like, what do you find that Oris does well that other brands don't?
I think it's, product based, like understanding consumer demand for product. I think we do well in listening to consumers, as I said before. And then I think sometimes people just take themselves way too seriously in this industry of ours.
Sure.
And I think it's just acting with common sense, treating people the way you want to be treated, not taking it all so seriously.
Yeah.
And I think that's what sets us apart.
That's great. I love that.
Yeah.
What's on your wrist today?
I actually have the new New York Harbor on my wrist today.
Okay.
So this we launched a couple weeks ago in conjunction with the Billion Oyster Project in New York City. Are you familiar with that?
Now this is the pearlescent dial.
Green mother of pearl.
Mother of pearl, yeah.
Yeah. So it's meant to mimic the water of New York Harbor.
Yeah.
And the Oyster Project, the Billion Oyster Project. So what Billion Oyster does is they work to restore oysters back to New York Harbor, as oysters are natural filters to water. We do a lot around water conservation. We do a lot around ocean conservation. So it's within our Change for the Better program. But the oysters will filter out water. So the average adult oyster can filter 50 gallons of water a day. So
no way.
Yeah. So their hope is that by 2035 they will have outplanted 1 billion oysters back into the harbor and really make it what it was. Because at a time, New York Harbor was one of the largest oyster reefs in the world.
Right.
They carry, and oysters, they act as natural storm barriers. They filter the water, but with all the dredging in New York, with all the sewage, the raw sewage that sometimes heads up in the harbor,
sure,
just the pollution, things like that, the oysters and over fishing and overeating of oysters, basically decimated the population. Yeah. So they're putting that back in, and they have this cool technique where they collect oyster shells from restaurants and they bring them back to Governor's Island where they're based. They cure them, they clean them, and then they put them in these cages, and then they put oyster larvae in them and then submerge them back in the water.
Whoa.
So yeah, it's really, and it's something it's something that you wouldn't think of, because it's not some faraway place. It's like
your backyard,
5 minutes off the coast of, you're standing on Governor's Island and you're looking at, the Freedom Tower, right across the way. It's not a faraway thing. And it's, they're doing really good work. So we support it. We're supporting them and helping them tell this story.
That's incredible. I love that. It's such an interesting watch, right? Like with the dial and kind of its iridescence, because it does have that mother of pearl. What's the product cycle for a watch like this with regards to conception, to actual product? And is that kind of the same sort of product length per watch, or did this take longer?
No, it takes it takes us about a year probably from conception, depending what it is. We do a lot of dial things and a lot of sampling of dials and different things like that, but our normal cycle is about a year or so. And that one didn't necessarily go through different iterations, but it certainly was something that they definitely nailed it with that one. And
this is what 40, 42?
It is 41 and a half. Yeah.
Okay.
So
that's why I was confused.
Good.
This is great. I mean, this comes on a rubber strap.
It comes with a bracelet as well.
Okay. So it comes
in
both.
A kit. Yeah. $2,700. So, and honestly, I've been with Oris for a period of time, that watch has been selling very, very, very well. Like it's been a while since I've seen one move that quickly like that. So,
is this your favorite model? Do you have a favorite model in the assortment?
That's one of my new favorites. The Roberto Clemente limited edition that I was wearing for a bit. That's my favorite. I'd say. And
now, is this a VJ concept? Because I want to talk baseball with you.
Okay.
So where does this come from, the Roberto Clemente?
We did do, we started with baseball in 2019. We just were looking to grow some general awareness for the brand. So baseball obviously was, in the U.S., it's a very obviously large sport. People watch it. So then we wanted to do a watch around baseball. And obviously as a brand, we're very thoughtful of how we do things. So we wanted to find an organization to work with. So when I think about baseball, you think about Roberto Clemente, and, obviously he was a great baseball player, Pittsburgh Pirates, 1955 to 72, lots of records, a lot of hits, all the baseball accolades.
Athlete.
Yeah, athlete. But what he was known for as well was he was very much a humanitarian. He was one of the greatest sports humanitarians of all time. He was an activist for minority people. So we wanted to obviously work with something like that fit our brand very well. So just reached out to the Clemente Foundation, and just developed a relationship, and then came the watch. So
now, do proceeds or anything go towards like an estate or anything like
proceeds went to the foundation. So part of the proceeds went to the foundation. We also gave them a bunch of watches, obviously, around that. So with COVID, they haven't had a gala or something like that. So they're actually planning a charity, one of their big galas this year.
Great.
So what usually happens in those situations is the valuable numbers, like the 21 piece of the Roberto Clemente limited edition, because his number was 21.
Sure.
It's probably the most valuable of it. So I'm sure that'll be auctioned for charity to help the foundation. Like that's how it works.
Very cool.
Yeah. And then we actually gave each winner of the Roberto Clemente Award, all the past winners of that watch, and if they were deceased, their family got the watch of the year of their winning. So
wow.
Derek Jeter won it in 2009, so he got 2009 of 3,000. It was a 3,000 piece limited edition.
Oh, I see.
So yeah, so that was
That's
cool.
incredible. I just got goosebumps. So you're from the Bronx. I mean, historically, the family is.
Yeah.
So you're a Yankee fan.
Yeah, very much.
Yeah,
very much.
So I live in San Diego.
Okay.
I see the Oris billboards in Petco.
Yeah.
How do you pick? Because I think Josh told me that you guys have 5 stadiums that you kind of sponsor. Is that right? Or
we work with the Yankees. We work with the Padres, the Chicago White Sox, and the Atlanta Braves.
Okay, so 4. Okay,
cool. And then we do some stuff with MLB proper as well. So
how did you pick those 4? Your favorite stadiums or something?
Just trying to pick the winners. Just trying to pick the winners and geography, right? So just trying to,
Midwest, South, Northeast,
covered,
West
covered.
Coast,
But obviously, the Braves have the largest, the whole Southeast with the Braves.
Totally.
Padres, obviously, out there, so it's good. But and then obviously, who are good teams, right? So
you got to come to a game. My wife and I go to games intermittently, and this last time I think I sent a text to Josh and tagged Oris, and I was like zoomed in on the sign.
Well, you let me know. So cool. We'll get you out there. It's actually going to be Oris Day on September 5th.
No kidding.
At Petco Park. Yeah. So.
Oh well, I'm there.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely, would love to.
I'll probably be there as well.
Oh, amazing.
So,
So we should grab dinner or something.
Yeah, definitely.
Or a hot dog.
Yeah, we're gonna have the Airstream will be there too. The Oris Airstream.
Cool.
So and we're gonna give Oris Bear Padre mugs. So
that's
the
incredible.
giveaway for that.
So what is the history on the bear? And I know it travels.
Yep. So
it's been stolen in Switzerland before, right?
It has. So the bear.
It's like its own personality or something.
It is. In the early 2000s, one of the artists that helped us with one of the collections, the Artelier collections, he was working on this project in Switzerland around bears, and as part of working with us, he created these little bears. So there was a watchmaker bear, there was an F1 driver bear, there was a pilot bear. So they were small bears. So in the basically I think it was 2015 maybe, they were looking for something for Basel. So they made a big bear based on the little bears and put him there, and then he just took off from there. So it was like something, that's where it came about, and now it's like all over.
Yeah.
The bear is very popular, but we see the bear as a canvas for emotion, right? Sure. So we don't have celebrity ambassadors. We don't do anything like that. So when you look at it, Rolf likes to say, when you look at a teddy bear, it always has positive emotion, right? Mm-hmm. And it's a good canvas for that, and I think that's how we see the bear. Yeah. So it's been very, people really love the bear, and the kids love the bear. And people come and they take obviously pictures with the bear. So here at Wind Up, the bear has his own photo booth. So it's you make sure you take a picture with him.
As a long-term Ralph Lauren fan, the bear sweaters that they make and stuff like that. Yeah, it's just iconic. And they're kind of collectible too. Yeah. So I'm sure the Oris bear is, in whatever iteration, be it a mug or otherwise, is probably highly collectible.
Yeah, he's a lot of people. Yeah, and he did almost get stolen in Switzerland.
Okay, almost stolen. Okay.
So
I think I heard Waco talk about it. Or something.
I shouldn't say almost stolen. He almost got stolen in Las Vegas afterward. But in Basel one year, we had him at a party. We had an Oris party. Right. And then someone actually took him from the party, like late at night. And then he ended up somewhere and then put it out on social media that he was stolen. He ended up getting returned. But
so the bear here is the bear?
The bear here, he's not the original bear.
Okay.
He's not the original bear. The original bear was with us for a bit of time here in the U.S. When the bear first was there, we had the bear here for a bit of time after. And then, but the original bear has gone back to Switzerland. He's back. Home. He's back. He's retired at home. So the new bears are around, but
sipping martinis in Geneva or something.
In his suit,
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Now, does he have a name, or is he just called the Oris bear? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So
that's very cool. What was your first car?
My first car was a 1982 Buick Skylark.
Amazing. Is that the My Cousin Vinny car?
Two-tire. I don't know. No.
I was trying to.
It was a 2-door silver. It was like So
okay.
It was $2,600.
What do you drive now?
Used. I drive an Audi A4.
Oh, I love it. I'm a huge Audi guy.
Yeah,
that's great.
That's my So I'm not a huge fancy car guy. I just like something reliable and something that's there. So you're a big car guy though.
Yeah, I mean, I try to be, with the limited resource. I don't have a garage full of, Porsches and Audis and stuff as I would love to own. But, maybe one day, the aspirations.
What do you drive?
I have a GTI.
Nice.
A 2017 GTI. In fact, during this show, I've hosted the prototypes to a jacket I've designed. Cool. And I've had custom-made lining in the jacket, made in the same GTI tartan plaid from the seats of my car.
Nice.
So I'm always trying to rope in these automotive inspirations into my line of apparel. So one of the latest inspirations is quite literally my car's seats.
That's good though.
It turned out fantastic, and frankly speaking, the jackets had an incredible reception. So, and I just brought them as prototypes because I just got them back as samples. I wanted to kind of forecast and show clientele what's to come.
Right.
And the reception, as I said, is just been phenomenal. So, I mean, beyond my wildest expectations.
Congratulations. That's great.
Yeah. So it's been really fun.
But it's nice to take your passion and
100%.
turn it into something that is very much you. And
yeah. I mean, that's the brand, right? Yeah. I've been working in apparel for 20 plus years. I love clothes, as odd as that may sound. And,
no, that's
but that I love watches too. And this podcast is, I guess, I mean, I'd almost have to label it the catalyst for me even being here, just because of the episodes that I've hosted Watch Folks.
Yeah.
And as a result, Standard H is kind of becoming the apparel brand for the watch guy.
Right.
And it's been fascinating to witness. It's been exciting to see and super fun. And as we started the conversation, I mean, the people are awesome. So it's like I couldn't ask for anything better.
Do you feel like they know your brand being here? Like, is it something that people...
Yeah, I've had people come up to me wearing my clothes already, which
makes you really happy.
I mean, that just makes your day, even if it's just one person, let alone several.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, yes, the guys within the Grey NATO, so James and Jason both are sort of serving as brand ambassadors, as it were. And so they've been more than gracious to give me a shout out or two on their episodes, and so people will come over and be like, "Man, James Stacey just won't shut up about your product. I have to come see this stuff." Yeah. And
great guys too.
100%. They're the absolute best.
Yeah.
But everybody's been great. You know what I mean? But those two in particular are just amazing guys. And yeah, it's been phenomenal. What can you share about Oris that maybe gives us a little glimpse of what's to come?
I mean, I think you'll see from us, I think we continue with doing things with a purpose.
Sure.
Like we try to have meaning behind the product. So I think you'll see some stuff from us that's very meaningful.
Cool.
Some stuff very relevant to California, actually.
Nice.
So in the upcoming days. So that'll be cool.
Okay, great.
Yeah, but continue to do stuff like that.
Yeah.
The Caliber 400 movement that we have is certainly making its way into a lot of things. So you probably see more from us in that sense.
Love the what is it? Oh God, I'm gonna screw up the name. The Prospect. What's the new aviation watch? The titanium one.
The new the PPX.
The PPX.
Caliber 400. Yeah. So that one's has
that taken off for you guys?
Yeah, especially the salmon dial.
Yeah,
that piece has been taken off. We launched it in Geneva.
Was that unexpected? Pleasant surprise? The salmon.
Pleasant surprise about the salmon. You know, but again, being able to do things in a bold manner and not really, that's been good.
It's a great size. The weight is fantastic from the titanium.
From the titanium, 39.5 millimeters. Yeah, it's really. It's
so
a nice piece. So
yeah, it's kind of like a stealth bomber for your wrist.
Yeah, exactly.
It's very angular.
Exactly.
I love it.
So yeah, and it follows after the 115, which had that similar bracelet design, a little bigger.
Sure.
But really, just the design aesthetic is really cool.
Cool.
So yeah,
awesome.
So tell me about your musical taste. My
musical taste.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. I usually ask other people, what was the first CD you ever bought with your own money? Actually, it may have been a tape for you.
It's weird.
Because
You're right. I bought my first CD player in 1986.
Okay.
It was
that's early.
It was some off-brand called like ProTech, something like that. At Crazy Eddie. Did you ever know about Crazy Eddie?
No, Circuit City.
So Crazy Eddie. It was $99.
Wow.
And I think but it was a time too where there wasn't a lot out on CD.
Right.
So like a lot of music wasn't like they launched the format and all of a sudden
everything's
so much
available.
there.
Yeah.
I think my first CD was David Bowie Changes One.
Okay.
I think.
Solid.
Which was just for me what's not David Bowie I like, but not like something I like really am into, but it was something that I think there was a song or two I really liked, so I wanted to get the CD.
So I hold my head high as the first CD I ever bought was Pearl Jam 10.
Okay.
Which that album still holds up.
Yep.
I mean, I'm pretty proud of that one.
Yeah.
I grew up with an older brother, but like we had tapes as kids, but I would say spending my own money, like it was Pearl Jam 10.
Nice.
Rode my bike to get that CD. I played the drums.
Okay.
So I like bands with really good drummers. So love Zeppelin, obviously.
Yep.
I'm actually a Dave Matthews Band fan.
Okay.
Because Carter Beauford's a beast.
Yeah.
But the Rushes of the world, the Police.
Yeah.
I mean, Stuart Copeland's insane.
Yeah.
So I love good drummers.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of drawn to music like that. I mean, I'll listen to Tool,
Gotcha.
which Danny Carey's an animal. So my taste is all over the place because I like hip hop too. Like anything with a good beat, you know. So
definitely.
I always said if you could put to, Tupac's storytelling to Biggie's beats. That would be one hell of a combination.
Nice.
But what about yourself? What are you listening to these days?
I have a very eclectic taste too. I'm a huge Springsteen fan.
Cool. So well, you're New York,
yeah,
New Jersey guy.
New Jersey guy. Yeah, growing up to that.
Yeah.
I like a lot of country music, actually.
Oh, interesting.
So which is weird, but
I grew up in North Carolina.
Really?
Yeah. So
Yeah, I like Texas country music.
Okay.
So like the genre of Pat Green, Wade Bowen, Randy Rogers, people like that. In Nashville too. I mean, obviously I like a lot of that stuff, but
sure.
Yeah, a lot of that guy named Hayes Carl, who you may or may not have heard of.
I don't know Hayes Carl, no.
So really, really cool. That's what's lately listening to. But I listen to a lot of things.
That's cool.
Drawn a lot to live music, anywhere.
Yeah. It's good to get back out and see bands now.
Definitely.
We went and saw the National 2 nights ago.
Okay. Yeah, they were here right around the corner, right?
Yeah, Pitchfork.
Nice.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah.
We scored some tickets and we got there right as they started, and it was
nice.
It was an amazing show. Super fun.
Yeah. Going to the Newport Folk Festival next week.
Who's playing there?
Something. There's like a whole lineup of because they usually get people from old to new and different. Yeah. Actually, there's a lot of acts I haven't even heard of myself.
Cool.
That are coming on, and then they usually, the National usually plays that. Like they get some larger acts.
Nice.
Lucy Dacus, John Moreland, who you may have heard of or not.
No, but you know what? Mentioning bands you've never heard of and acts like that. Several years ago now, my wife, my best friend, flew in from Texas. We were in San Diego's the holidays. We went to this like holiday radio bash thing, something or another. There's 5-10 bands playing. It was like Death Cab for Cutie and like some other people that were. Well, one of the openers was somebody I'd never heard of. And it was this guy named Billie Eilish.
Okay.
I had no idea who Billie was. And my best friend was like, I would love to go see Billie Eilish. And I was like, I don't know who he is. And then we got there late, missed Billie.
Right.
And now I'm very familiar with who Billie Eilish is. That guy.
That's really funny.
Yeah. So now I'm kicking myself because we could have seen her play early days. Yeah. So that I missed out on that. So go see the bands you've never heard of is my recommendation.
No, and it's the way you find out, the way you learn things.
Yeah, totally.
I have to say that music, obviously, we're talking about cassettes and tape. It was like, I was from the generation where you had to wait for your song to come on the radio and
try to record
it, right, with the little tape player next to the speaker kind of thing. And now it's like everything is at your fingertips. But I have to say, I love the way, obviously, you can walk around with a whole catalog of music on your phone. So it's not like you have that. You can get a suggestion, like if you like a song, and then you can start a station around the song.
Totally.
So I really love that about.
Yeah, same. It's kind of like having flavors in your back pocket. It's just like I'm craving this right now. So I want to get a taste of this.
Yeah. So
super convenient.
It's cool.
Yeah. VJ, thank you so much for your time. I can't wait to visit the booth later today.
Thank you.
Everybody really needs to check out this Oyster watch because it's actually stunning. The bezel's beautiful, like it's that kind of matte, and then kind of so it's like brushed and polished combination. It's fantastic.
Thank you.
And hopefully I'll see you on September 5th.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Thank
awesome.
you so much.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, my pleasure.
All right.
Hey guys, Wesley here. If you liked what you heard, maybe tell a friend about the Standard H podcast. And if you have a moment, please rate and review the show as it helps others discover this podcast. Shout out to Jensen Reed and Super Beautiful for the theme track, as well as to Clear Audio for the noise canceling headphones. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.